Are you a chronic procrastinator? Do you get nothing done because you're lazy and dumb?
That's kinda harsh, but yeah, I suppose.
Then you need the anti-procrastination pad.
Oh, cool. What does it do?
It threatens your entire family and launches a time new to your place of province. Then if you fail to complete the task you are putting off, you and your entire family will perish at your lack of discipline. The anti-procrastination
What the
pad.
fuck?
T's and C's apply. Any failure of new cancellation is likely but will not be refunded by us. Battery is not included.
That was the funnest intro that I've done thus far. Procrastination is bad. That's the end of the video, guys. Make sure you I used to be a procrastinator. A pro at procrastinating, some might say. It was so bad that I've probably, no joke, wasted around half a year of potential gain in my journey. Ever since then, I've gotten very good at regularly squashing those micro desires to do anything other than what I have to do, and will confidently say that I have a very solid tool list for when it comes to curing your procrastination over and over again whenever it shows up. Throughout a lot of my videos, I incorporate my countdown, pause and action method. After each tool in this video, there will be a timer in the top corner that will tick down as I give you some specific action that I want you to take from this section of advice. When it reaches 0, there will be a pause screen that will appear that will allow you to pause and take the action necessary. This method makes a lot of my videos far more productively consumable and valuable, as I'm literally shaking your dopamine stimulated brain and telling it to take some sort of action with this new information. If you do get a lot out of this video, I upload ones just like this every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and so if that's something that you're interested in, stick around. Blah blah blah. Enough of the sellout intro shit. Let's get to tool number 1. Specifically when talking about your macro work tasks like a job, business or studying, the importance of your biggest life tasks being aligned to your authentic goals and your authentic purpose is crucial for not only a happy life but also your likelihood of success. A lot of young people find themselves going to university or getting into some sort of career that isn't even authentic to what they want. It's usually due to either young adults getting spit out of high school and being forced to know what they want to do for the rest of their life when they just don't, but still throwing themselves onto a certain trajectory due to a lot of pressure, or because people have very strict parents or other people in their life that expect a certain thing from them. This is probably 95% of people in the entire world that end up doing something that they either hate or just tolerate. If you hate or dislike your macro work, you can't blame your brain for not even having a tiny bit of motivation to do it. That's why this is crucial that you set this up as a long-term tool for your chances of success. If your career, job or profession is something that you love, are good at and feel fulfilled in, no matter how difficult the work within that profession is, it will be far easier to crush procrastination and just get it done, as opposed to working in a space that you have zero passion in and hate. The biggest regret of dying old people is wasting years of their life going to live a life that others expected of them, as opposed to what they actually wanted to do. That is very sad. So don't live for your parents or for the perception of others. Live and work for your authentic self, and you'll find the work within that area is far easier because overall you love it. Some CPA time for you lovely human beings at home. I want you to grab your journal, phone or paper of some kind. Just write down a few reminders. Number 1, you want to research into purpose and how to find yours. Number 2, you want to write a list of your passions and potential purposes. And 3, you want to have a really long journaling session at some point when you're free to figure out whether your macro work is authentic and fulfilling. Go do that right now. I heard this piece of advice from a Dr. Huberman podcast, not to get ultra sciencey on you or anything, but when you feel amotivated, what you're experiencing is a dip below baseline in your dopamine receptors. This kind of trough occurs when you first get a spike of dopamine and is the result of that spike. The depth of this trough, so how low this trough goes, how amotivated you feel, is directly proportional to how high your peak was with your spike. Not only this, but how long it takes for that trough to stabilize back to baseline is directly proportional to how steep that trough is. The steeper the trough, the quicker the recovery. When you're in this state, you might think that the best thing to do is either wait it out until you feel motivated again, or simply do some other micro task like cleaning your room. A way that you can speed up this process is by simply making that trough steeper. How do you do this? Well, in order to cause that trough to be even steeper, you have to force yourself to do an activity that you genuinely hate more than the task that you're procrastinating. It sounds like a paradox because, of course, the issue in the first place is the lack of discipline to get up and do the hard thing anyway. How could you possibly do something harder than the task that you're procrastinating on? Make it quicker. Cold exposure is a fantastic example of this. I personally hate cold showers regardless of doing them every single morning. If I wanted to create an even steeper trough in my dopamine receptors, I would throw myself into a quick cold shower. This will take discipline to start, but it won't take a sort of long period of discipline use due to it being a quick activity. If you can do something that lasts longer, you should, because that'll create an even quicker recovery for your receptors. I have one last little note here on my notepad, and it says action time. Once again, get something that you can write on. Spend a good minute thinking about a few activities that you genuinely dislike and that would really suck to you. It's good to have a small sort of arsenal of activities to do when in this amotivated state, because it really can make the difference with just how much control you have over your state of motivation. It's sort of like a temporary cure that you can do over and over again. This is a kind of fun little analogy, I suppose, but say every single morning you had to eat a frog. You get a lovely meal along with this frog, like your favorite meal along with this frog, but you have to eat this frog at some point. Would you choose to eat this frog before or after this other lovely meal that you also get? A smarter person would eat that frog the second it was handed to them. Think about it. If you eat the frog first, it's over and done with. You get to cleanse your palate with the lovely meal afterwards, and you don't have to think about that frog for the rest of the day. If you decided you would eat the lovely meal first, you simply wouldn't be able to enjoy that meal with a slimy little frog on a platter right next to you. So instead, you just choose to not think about it. You eat that meal and you leave the frog and say that you'll eat it later. Now, this slimy little bastard has a hold on your entire day. He will haunt you randomly. Just keep remembering that you have to eat this frog at some point, and he'll probably freaking taunt you or something too. Sneak up on you, do a little or something, makes you jump out your seat. What's even worse is if you put that frog off till tomorrow. Now you have 2 frogs you have to eat, then 3, then 4. Before you know it, you have an empire of frogs just ribbiting away in your fridge. They eventually break out and consume you alive. That got very eerie. I forgot it was just an analogy for a sec. Remember, in this scenario, you have to eat this frog at some point. Same way in real life scenarios when we have deadlines, we have to do this work at some point. The takeaway from this analogy is the frog is obviously your really hard work or task that you don't want to do. However, if you crush it as the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to think about it for the entire rest of the day. Plus, if you eat this frog first thing every single morning for a long period of time, the taste kinda goes away. Frogs in my fridge are telling me that it's action time. Take a moment to highlight that frog task in your brain. You probably already know what it is that you need to do. Either write it in big capital letters on a piece of paper and stick it on your wall so that you can do it after this video, or you can cope even more and say that you'll do it first thing tomorrow morning. Either way, remember that the frogs are watching. Always. Your digital environment is likely one of, if not the biggest distraction in your life. This consists of what is on your phone, PC, laptop, any other device that you use on a regular basis. To purge your digital environment, you have to first identify what distracts you the most by maybe using your phone's screen time feature or something, and think about whether or not that distraction is worth sacrificing for the sake of your focus. If you're being harsh with yourself, which you should, you'll likely say yes, it is worth the sacrifice. Delete the apps that are useless on your phone, remove the clutter on the desktop of your PC, be harsh and real with what you need and don't need. The extreme of this would be to delete all socials for even a short period of time whilst you really lock in and focus. Lock your phone away even. I did this digital purge around a year ago now. I deleted my TikTok, Instagram and useless other YouTube accounts. I still don't have them back, to be honest. I still don't have any social media apart from, you know, this YouTube account, of course. I deleted a bunch of apps that I'd convinced myself that I would use one day but never did. I just did a deep harsh purge. And to be honest with you, my phone looked really fucking boring afterwards. It just wasn't that appealing to use, so I naturally lowered my screen time. Before I did this, actually, I would put my phone into like black and white mode for short periods of time to make it look really boring. Recently, however, my phone has broke, and so I've had to use one of my very old phones from 2019. This is interesting actually, because this phone is incredibly slow. So slow that I genuinely cannot even procrastinate on it. I barely even touch my phone now. I'm not saying smash up your phone or anything, but if something bad were to happen to it, probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the entire world. Probably. The action I want you to take right now is simple. Go and spend a few minutes just clearing out some clutter on your desktop or phone. One tip that I will give is, if your work is on your PC or something, cleanse the desktop so that the work is very easily visible and noticeable whenever you go on. Even maybe make Eat the Frog your background or something. Don't do that, because then you're just allowing the frogs to haunt you even more. Which is what they're going to do anyway. This is yet another tactic that I've learned from Dr. Huberman himself. This one's simple. Stare at your task for a whole minute. That's all. What he means by this is literally open up your document or go to your sink where you're procrastinating doing the dishes and just stare for 60 seconds straight at the task that you're putting off. Focus on one tiny point in particular and align your thoughts to that. The way this works is there are a lot of physiological and psychological links that occur in the body. Our environment and what we see, hear, feel and are exposed to has such a great impact on the way that we think in these moments. You kind of lock your psychology into that task by limiting what your physiology is exposed to only that task. Pretty fascinating stuff. This will be more effective for you if you have a better attention span and can honestly even get to 60 seconds staring at a singular one atom. However, it's only 60 seconds of your time, so don't falter till you try it. Sorry, I was just taking the action. Once again, highlight the important task that you're putting off in your brain. Create either a note on your phone, a piece of paper, or a document on your PC. Write down the task and nothing more. Literally just the task, whatever the task is. So if it's study, just write study. And then after this video, you're going to stare at a single letter. So for example, U in study, U is like the middle letter. You're going to stare at that for 60 seconds straight. Sorry, it's mesmerizing. Much like the Purge Your Digital Surroundings tool, just with a different verb. You've probably heard the saying, a clear space is a clear mind, and it's very true. As I've said, there are many psychological and physiological links that occur in our brain and body. Our environment and what we're exposed to has such a great impact on our current state of mind and process of thought. Cleansing your environment and making it whatever your level of tidy is will put your psychology in a far more tidy state too. Less distractions, one less task of having to clean your room at some point, but also you begin to forge a whole new mentality that you can then associate with that new tidy space. This new mentality is a focused, disciplined state of mind, one that wakes up, eats the frog first thing in the morning and gets shit done. Another really good way of creating that new clean, tidy space that you can then associate with this new, better, more disciplined mindset is to completely revamp your workspace. You work in your bedroom, make your environment look new. Where your bed, desk and drawers are right now are associated with the lazy, amotivated, procrastinatory mindset that you've had for so long. Where you move your bed, desk and drawers in this new, even cleaner room has no mental association. There's your opportunity to link a new mentality to your new space. The extreme version of this would be to move out, or move to a different room, or move out. Actually, obviously not everyone can, especially not just to focus more. Some people go to a completely different country to focus more. So with that being said, your final piece of action for this video, just pause and tidy up everything within about 2 meters each way of you. If you're at your desk, tidy up any clutter, take any dishes down to the sink, reorganize things nicely. If you're in bed, just get up and, make that bed, and then don't get back into it until the end of the day. Probably the best piece of advice that I could leave you with in this video is that although you can use tools to leverage motivation and simply manipulate your dopamine receptors to work in your favor, you aren't going to be able to rely on motivation all the time. Motivation is the best thing in the world. To feel even 10% more motivated in everything you do, regardless of how disciplined you are, would just feel incredible. But that's just not possible all the time. Learning to progressively overload your willpower and level up your discipline is what's going to propel you the furthest in your journey. Tools are handy, but a disciplined mentality is unbeatable. The man or woman who is more disciplined than you will absolutely crush you as competition, no matter how many cute little tools you use. With that being said, value motivation and sap it of its use when it comes, but rely on your own self-discipline every other time. 6 tools for curing procrastination, plus 1 bonus tip. If you went on to learn anything in this video, supporting me by engaging with the algorithm things and commenting some feedback is greatly appreciated. I plan to take this channel to the stars and teach as I learn. I have around 5 other really interesting videos on my channel so far that you can take a look at. And of course there will be many more. But for now though, the frogs are in your walls. Bye.